guys, welcome back to the Oh Mah Gahd podcast with Maddie
and Ro.
We're so happy to be back.
I know. And like, if you guys are listening to us for the first time, welcome. Welcome to our little community. We're so excited to have you.
Yes.
So,
Bro, it was your birthday last week.
I know. And it was so exciting. Like, shout out to all my Aries girly and all my March babies, because y'all know we're the best sign.
Don't say that in front of a Libra.
But you know we're better. We're like the first sign of the zodiac. Okay. So we're the firstborn. We're better. We're lovable. We're loyal. My Aries let you know. And as a true Aries, you know, I'm like super extra. So, you know, this entire season is my season. The entire month of March is my birthday. So it's to my birthday. You should actually say happy birthday to me.
Was I not present during the whole festivities you had going on?
Are you trying to call me extra?
Did you not call yourself extra?
But I am extra though. I am. I am. But you know what? I feel like my birthday should be a national holiday. You know, I feel like I'm typically like very low key most of the time, but on my birthday is the only time that I asked to let me be a diva and let me be extra.
Honestly, all her friends just know that. Oh, it's her birthday. You know, we're on her birthday, and I'm like, really? Well,
yeah, diva. And as I should be a diva. I am like the most like laid back person, the most understanding person. I will take a backseat all the time, but when it's my birthday or when it's an occasion where I'm being celebrated, then
you're making up for lost time.
Yeah. I'm not making up for lost time. It's just like that's the only time I ask everybody to take a step back and let the spotlight be on me.
Okay, so guys, last weekend it was Diva Ro's birthday.
Yes. And we had a whole celebration.
Yes, and it was really fun. I really like the whole weekend because I think that we need to normalize not just going to the club, going to a restaurant. Ro really did a good job at putting in a routine into the weekend for us because
so I think like for my birthday, I think I tend to like really always have an itinerary. I'm like a planner. I get super type A. I sent everybody like a super nice invite being like, listen, on day 1, this is what we're doing. On day 2, this is what we're doing. And we had a really chill, grown celebration.
It was. I really had it. We did yoga.
Yeah, on our first day.
And then we went to have dinner and we did a little party. The next day you had your folklore dancing.
A partying that we ended up having to go home like at like 1 because guys are getting up there. Because of somebody here who was like, I want to go home.
I was just so tired, but okay. And then Saturday, she had a folklore dance,
that
Haitian
nobody
traditional
woke up
dancing.
For.
Because Ro cannot have a bunch of 30-year-old out past 1 and expect us to go dance Haitian folklore.
Okay, like, how is that too much? As the class was at 11, it's not like I was asking anybody to get up at.
It was just so hard for me. I don't know. But
they just didn't want to go dancing.
But I regret not going though.
When I woke up, Maddie was already awake.
You woke me up.
Yeah, because it's my birthday. It was my birthday.
Fun weekend with Ro.
Yes.
I really enjoyed it. I really had a great time.
It's always a good time.
And she also had a tote party.
Yes.
Which was, I think, the highlight for me.
I know. Like, I feel like I love being able to just see the creative side of my friends, and I feel like that brought it out of a lot of us. Like, I think a lot of people
Picasso showed up. I'm like, what? I stopped midway because I just realized that it was not an entry level to party happening here.
What are you talking about? Everybody was a newbie.
Well, true, but the inner Picassos came out, and I was like, okay.
But hers was super cute. Although hers was about herself in typical Maddie fashion. Anybody wants to take a guess at what was on her tote?
My name.
Exactly, because
my zodiac sign.
Yep. Because Maddie loves herself.
Me.
It's always her. And I love that for her, you know? And I think like that was still very creative. I think everybody has like a little bit of a creative
But I really had a great time.
Yeah, I really did too. And it was a very grown and fun weekend.
It was.
Yeah.
But Ro, 34.
Oh, Lord. I feel like you're saying it out loud and I want to cringe because I just don't want to be 34 with a fashion.
No, I love aging, but how was entering the 3-4?
To be honest, I feel like going into 34 was like very hard for me. Like, I don't know why. I spent the entire week going into it like crying every day. Like I was so annoyed at everyone, like anybody that was close to me. Madely's making this face because literally I would snap at her for like all the time. And I told all my close friends, like, listen, like my nerves are very much, I don't know how you say this in English, but in French it's like it's à fleur de peau, like so it's like I'm very sensitive right now. Like if you try me,
the tiny thing.
you try me
Tiny
any
error.
day this week, I will come for you. Like you better watch your back. The thing is, that makes me a good friend, right? I give everybody a warning, but I was so, for some reason I was like super sad. Like I ordered my cake and then the lady sent me a picture of the cake and I didn't like it. I started crying in the car. I was so sensitive. I was so sad. I don't know why though. I mean, I think eventually I figured out why I was like crying and sad. And like thanks to Maddie too, she kind of helped me figure out. Like she was like, you're probably shedding. But I felt, I don't know, like I felt sad that I was getting into like my quarter, not my quarter, I mean my mid 30s. Because I feel like 34 is definitely mid 30s, right? Like
a year.
Yeah, and I think like when I was younger and I imagined myself at 34, what I am now is not really what I imagined for myself. And it's not necessarily bad. Like I don't think I'm in a bad place. It's just that what I wanted for myself in my younger days were like, okay, to be a VP of operations, to be married, to have a house, to have kids. And I have none of that. But that does not mean necessarily that I'm not happy. It's just like, it was just me mourning those old things that I wanted and like the vision that I had for myself and kind of like accepting and truly being like fully in who I am today and accepting who I am today and being happy with that. And yeah, like it took like me like about 2 weeks to like get there and just being okay with being 34 and being where I'm at right now.
Yeah, because I feel like what we wanted to be in our 20s and in our 30s, it might change. Some people really stuck to their goals that they had at a younger age, and I love it. But I do think that it happens that in your 20s you had this expectation of what you wanted to be in your 30s.
Yeah.
And now in your 30s, this is your mind change.
Yes.
But I think that sometimes our brain doesn't do a good work to acknowledge that we switch.
Yeah.
And we're still looking for what we don't even think we want anymore.
Yes, I think that's totally right. I think when we were young, we don't realize that a lot of the things that we wanted was based on like what society wanted for us, what our parents were telling us that we needed. I literally became an engineer because as a Haitian who grew up in a Haitian family with Haitian parents, my options were like, you're going to be an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, and those are your choices, right? And I think for me, I was the first child and I was very much like a people pleaser. And it's like what my parents wanted. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to go for. I was good at math and physics and I decided to go for it, right? And I think like now that like I'm an engineer, I don't know that I could say necessarily that this is absolutely what I've dreamt of doing. And I think now I just am more interested in like pursuing like my passion. But I feel like a lot of this happens typically like when you turn 30. I don't know. I know you're like younger, like you're 31. Yeah, so you're like new in the 30 gang. But I think like just once you turn 30, I feel like there's just a lot of changes that happen.
So I think that for me, I had mine, what you're experiencing right now, I had it at around 28, 29, because I literally, by 30, I need to be making 6 figures and I need to be, it wasn't a question of wanting to be a VP. It's just a question. I had money aspiration.
That's not, you love money so much, girl. I love that for you.
I live in New York. I cannot not have money.
To live in New York, you really need to be
making
to be happy and live in New York, you have to have that financial stability.
So I remember it was just a question of, this is my salary right now, I cannot handle that, I don't want this, and what am I started questioning everything, my surrounding. I had to, and I had to get to work and say, this is what I need to do, go back to the drawing board. And I was so depressed. 2021 was so bad for me mentally, and I had to get back to the drawing board and make a decision of what I needed to do to advance. So I definitely understand that. I probably had it at a younger age, but I do feel like it can come back because because I think at 28 now I feel like it wants to come back, but I'm like, nope, I know what to do now.
I mean, I totally get what you're saying. I feel like for me, it wasn't so much that like I needed to go to the drawing board. I think I went through whatever you went before I got into my 30s, right? But for me, it was more like looking in the mirror and realizing, damn, like whatever I wanted in my 20s is no longer what I want now. And I I am proud of where I am today. Like I am proud of how I got there. I'm proud of the fact that I've accomplished so much, but I am also mourning the fact,
Yeah,
the dreams that I've had when I
yes.
was younger, right? So I
Yes.
think this is kind of like a thing. I don't know, but I love being in my 30s. I think like I'm still struggling with being 34, but I think 30s, being in your 30s is such an amazing thing. I think there's a lot that comes with it. Like one of them is a lot like, you know, of self-acceptance and self-love, and I think that's really what allowed me to just be okay with where I am now. I don't know if you've experienced that when you turn 30. I feel like you've always been like, I love me, you know.
There's a difference between loving yourself and not be happy with the choices that
Okay.
you make.
Yeah.
For me, I love me, but sometimes I'm like, you made this mistake and this is why you where you're at right now. So there's a difference between you accepting, oh, I have this, j'ai ces défauts là, I have these
Yeah.
qualities, but also accepting that you made mistake. Because one thing, that's why when I'm talking to my friend, I'm like, try to have less regret as possible, because this thing can eat you up. You have to look at yourself in the mirror in the future and know that I didn't choose to do this, I didn't choose to do that, and now I'm paying the consequences of that. So for me, I had to do this type of self-acceptance and going to therapy and having conversations with my therapist. And
Yeah.
because I go back to, so for example, when I got to six figures, and then I moved to my studio and I walked in, the first thing I said, oh, ouais, so pas fait madly with your personality. You could have
Yeah.
been making this amount of money.
I
You
love
could have
that.
been there.
Yeah.
So this, instead of appreciating the fact that I got to six figures before
Yeah.
30, I was moving into my apartment alone in Manhattan.
Yeah.
I was worried about how I made mistake and the mistake I've made, and I could be further away.
Further than, but I feel like the mistakes you made are probably what got you to where you are right now, right? And it's just like it kind of gave you, I feel like sometimes we're so afraid of making mistakes. I have always been like this because I feel like I've always been the type of child that was like a good performer in school. Like I was like, you know, very smart in school. Like when I got to college, like coming from a school in Haiti, going to college here was like very much a breeze for me. So I rarely had things like go wrong. So I think like, you know, when you get into the corporate world, I also like shine, but I think there was a point when you're transitioning and you're like in your 30s where you get there and you have more challenges and you have more things on your plate where you're starting to make mistakes and it starts to get to you. And I think like for you, like learning early on, like, you know, you're making mistakes and realizing, yeah, that mistake didn't kill you and it actually made you stronger, it actually taught you something about yourself is good, because I think like sometimes being so perfect all the time or seeking perfection all the time kind of like puts you in this delusion that you're perfect, and when you finally fall, it takes you so long to fall, you fall so hard. And I feel like I've experienced that and it was so hard for me to get myself out of that. Like I think I experienced that around the same age as you, I think, like 28, 29, before my 30s. But I really wish I had failed a lot more when I was younger, like learned from these mistakes and like grew from it, and like no, I would have known better how to handle it, like I think in my adulthood. But yeah.
So this is the type of self-acceptance that I had to do and give myself a lot of grace, because
Yeah.
I remember I had my mentor, and I was speaking to my mentor, and he said, Maddie, you cannot think about something that's not here. You
Yeah.
cannot think about the mistake. You need to see the accomplishment you've made, you know?
Yeah.
So I had to start focusing on that.
Yeah.
So that was very important for me. So this is the type of self-acceptance I had to do, but I still struggle with it. But this also helps me to make better decisions and to think deeper and really
Yeah.
pay attention before I take certain decisions for myself. And also, I'm in my 30s. I'm also giving myself more grace.
I love that.
That's very important, especially for me. I set some very unrealistic expectation. For
Yeah.
me, after 2 years, I was supposed to move out of this apartment and live in a higher,
Yeah.
like, you know, a nicer apartment. And for me, I was like, what is happening? This is
Yeah.
not what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
In 2 years, why am I not there yet? You know, so,
Yeah.
so give myself grace.
Yeah. I think for me, when I turned 30, I don't know that like I had that. I feel like for me again, like I don't think I experienced like self-acceptance in the same way. Like I think Timmy, I became more like in this like area where I started caring less about external validation. Like I started to like work a lot on self growth and like loving myself and like loving every part of myself. Like I used to be younger and think, oh my God, I don't like this about myself. I don't like this about my face. I don't like this about my body. And now I'm very much like, yeah, any flaws and everything, I love them all. Like I would look at my face in the mirror and be like, oh, this is not perfect, but I still like love that, you know? And I think like that's a work that I had to do and that I realized in my 30s. I very much stopped caring about external validation. I felt like I worked very hard on like getting that validation from within. And that's one thing I feel like talking to other people in their 30s, they've told me to like where you just get to 30 and you just don't care about what people think anymore. You just stop caring. And I think another thing too that like happened when I turned 30 is just that feeling of really just because I worked on loving myself so much and did that work, I started becoming better at setting boundaries, like and telling people like, yeah, like this is not okay. I don't want to do this, and also removing myself from toxic situations because I'm like, yeah, this is not no longer gonna work for me. Yeah.
Yes, loving yourself. That's a very important thing. I think in your 30s, well, even before your 30s, you should love yourself every day. When it comes to that self-validation, I think I had a conversation with a former coworker of mine, and he called me one time and then he was saying how like he would want his mom to give him, this validation. And I think that sometimes I think that we should be validating ourselves, but I think that sometimes it's okay if you want validation for certain people, but don't be picky with from who you need it from. For example, he wanted validation from his mom.
Yeah.
But whereas me, I'm his friend, I'm giving him validation, everything. You're killing it. Oh my God, like how did you do this? You do it. But this is not important for him because he's not getting it from the mother. So I said, why don't you try to acknowledge the validation you're getting elsewhere as something to hype you up versus your brain telling you need this from this typical.
I think my argument to that is that he shouldn't, even if he's getting it from elsewhere, the issue here is that he needs to believe it himself. I think it's just that same idea where like you can tell a person that they're beautiful, like you've probably never experienced that, but I feel like I know so many people, and I think I've been victim of that too. Like not victim, like I've been one person who was like this very much early on in my youth, like where my parents would tell me like I'm beautiful, like my friends would tell me, oh my God, you're so beautiful, blah blah blah. But it's like because I didn't believe it, like I had a hard time, like I would tell myself like, oh, nobody thinks I'm beautiful, because again, the person that I wanted to tell me it like was not saying it to me. Like if like I thought a guy was cute and he didn't say it to me, then I would be like, oh, maybe like I'm not that, you know what I mean? But you're not realizing that so many people around you who love you are telling it to you, but it's like because you don't believe it in yourself. Like, so you're just looking for places where you're not getting it to validate the fact that what you're thinking in your brain.
And not paying attention for the other side who's telling you something.
Yeah, or you're just not giving it any weight because in your head, like, in order for it to have weight, you need this particular person to do it. But it's like, if you do the work and have that self-validation and know, like, yes, I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm accomplished, I'm successful, then like, like once you're able to do that for yourself, then you don't really care what any other person thinks. Well,
like for me, I think that if I was waiting for a friend to validate me, I would be probably dead. Because I don't think that nowadays, I do think that I have friends who are.
Are you serious? That's kind of sad
serious.
though.
Huh? No, but it's okay because the thing is, I know me. And I came to realize that some people, it's not that they didn't think I was, but I was a little bit too much for them. I was too comfortable in my skin. I was too this, or my dad loves me so much, or I don't have some financial struggle. And I learned for me, my validation comes from my dad, and this guy is always hyping me up. So I never really paid attention from friends or guy. I think guys told me I'm beautiful, but like majority of the time when people tell me I'm cute, I'm like, I know, but that was another issue. People think that I shouldn't say that, but I'm like, I should tell you that I know.
That, like, I mean, because it's like that's the thing. People just think you're cocky for saying that, no, but it's like, no, it's okay for you to acknowledge.
I know I'm beautiful.
That.
You want me to say, oh my God, I'm beautiful? I did not do that. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I should dance right now. Did you just say I'm beautiful? Wow, I did not know that. Like,
oh my God,
I had to because
me, people just want you to be humble about everything. In the moment you're not humble super extremely humble about it, then they think like you're a bad person or you're cocky, and they just make it out to be a bad thing.
But it's not their fault too, because probably they were told not to do that. But me, for some reason, I'm like, if you're telling me I'm beautiful, you tell me I'm this, I know. It's the same way if you tell me, Maddie, you can be selfish sometimes. I'm gonna say like, yeah, I know, I can. It's just like I'm aware of who I am.
Yeah, and I think that's the beautiful thing about being in your 30s. And I think like that's why it's also easy for you not to care about what people think and have that like extreme self-acceptance, because I think most people who do the work, because I don't think everybody does the work, right? Most people who does the work to like get to know themselves and to grow are able to know exactly who they are. I think when you reach that point in 30, you know who you are, and you're like, you don't have to tell me who I am. I already know who I am. Exactly. I already know that I might be selfish at times. I know that I'm a loyal person. I know that I'm beautiful. I know what I bring to the table. So it's like you're not waiting for other people to tell you that. So it's like their opinion don't care as much as when you were like in your 20s or in your teenage years.
Yeah, I always tell people that you need to get to know yourself, the good and the bad.
Yep.
And sometimes the bad more, because
yes, I agree.
Especially in coming from a Haitian society, any jokes, any remark they have to make about you is to highlight that negative side of you. Therefore, if you're not the type of person who knows yourself and you're letting people telling you about yourself, it can really get to you. So that's why I really, at a young age, I learned my good and I learned my bad side, because people, for me specifically, on the friend level, not on the household level, they were just so focused on highlighting my negative side. So therefore, I've always, on the friend group I had, I didn't feel like they hyped me up or they highlighted my qualities. It was just like on that end, I was hearing more of the negative side,
And I think that you brought up an important point. I think you definitely should know yourself and not let people tell you who you are. Like, so if you know yourself, nobody can actually tell you who you are. And I think like this brings in, like, if somebody comes and tells you, oh, you ugly, be like, oh, okay, you can call me ugly all you want. I know I'm not, you don't care. And it's like, that's the thing, that's the beauty about like doing the work. So ladies, gentlemen, if you are like, if you're not there yet, where if you haven't done the work where, you love yourself and you know yourself, I think that's the biggest thing to do. Like, just do that work. And
you come and tell me about me, I'm going to tell you about you too.
I know that.
Let's do it.
I know that. You definitely are going to check a person.
No, I'm going to check you.
For sure.
Be ready.
She's the queen of checking people.
No, I'll check you.
Yeah. One day we'll tell you the stories of Maddie checking people. One day, guys.
I've been too much for this podcast. But we'll probably get to hear. So.
Yeah. What else I feel like in turning 30 that changed for me? I think another thing that shifted very much, like when I got into my 30s, is my health, though.
Last year?
I know. Oh my God. Madly would just scare me so much last year with her health. Like, everything, she was paranoid about everything. It would just, go ahead.
What?
No.
Don't say I would. Like, that one time I called you, that one time.
She would freak out about everything, guys. Everything.
No, that one time I called you and I told you I couldn't, how to swallow. I couldn't. I ended up hospitalized, didn't I?
That's true.
Okay.
But
if I listened to Ro, I would have stayed home.
She's like, do I need to go to the doctors for this? Oh my God, I see this on my skin. Do I need to go to the emergency room? Everything. And I'm like, mind you, she has a lot of friends that are doctors. She doesn't go to them. She calls me. I'm not a doctor. I'm an engineer. It's like, what do I need to take for this? I see this. Am I dying? I'm like, girl, I don't know. Call your doctor friends. Like, why are you asking
You know how
me
many
this?
times I went to CDMD? Actually, I noticed that they just closed and went downstairs from my office, and I really wanted to cry because I probably spent up to four because I think their copay is like $75,
Yeah.
and I was going twice a week
Wow.
around July.
Yeah.
I was there all the time, and I think they were ready to say, "Ma'am, I think you should go see a therapist," because they would come in. Hi, Maddie. We saw you were here last week, or we saw you were here Tuesday. So what happened? Yeah, I think they were ready to
this
send
was
me.
like really hurt her 30s. Like she switched and she became so paranoid. But I get it. I think there's this thing that happens to your body like when you turn 30. It's like you start having joint pains, like you start like you can't eat whatever you used to be able to eat before. Like I used to like things that I used to love, like I can't eat sweets the same way. Like I feel like it just does something very disgusting to my body. Like any like fast food, any like junk food, it's like no. Like Maddie's like, I know you. Whenever you go to a restaurant, you have to have veg. I'm like, yes, because I'm old. Like I need vegetables or some type of fiber on my plate whenever I go to the restaurant. Like I think that's
That's
something
important.
that's important
Yes.
for me right now in my 30s. Yeah.
But one thing for me, once I turned 30, I have to take more vitamins now.
Oh my God.
I was so
Yes.
tired,
Yeah.
so much pain, and
Yeah.
I started taking my vitamin consistently, and I stopped for a week, and the past 2 weeks it was the worst for me. I couldn't wake up to go to work. I can't focus at work. It was really bad.
Yeah.
So I have to get back on that. So I definitely think your vitamins is very important to be
Yeah.
on, and start early.
Also, get that magnesium for that anxiety because the amount of like, I don't know about you, but it's like I was never an anxious person. I was never like a worrisome person. Like, yeah, I was an overthinker in the sense of like I like to plan ahead. But the way that like I feel like also my mental health shifted, where it's like everything became like
A big deal.
it became a big deal for me in like my 30s. I feel like yeah, closer as I was getting into my 30s, I think is because I'm just thinking about so many things at a time. I think that's also another thing where therapy became like very important, where it's like I hope like most people experience with therapy. I think like for me it took me a while to find
No,
a
honestly,
person. It's like dating, but
the way I acted out yesterday to my the person I'm seeing, my boyfriend, I was like, I need to.
okay.
You see how hard? You see how hard it was to say this? I'm like this morning. I'm like, Maddie, you should go back to therapy. It's been 2 months. I need to go.
No, I've been catching myself saying like I need to go back to therapy too because I haven't stopped. I stopped for a while, but like yeah, like I think when I went in my 30s, I was like a big believer of thinking yeah I'm good. I don't really need therapy. But when I turned 30, I was like yeah I really need to go because it's like my brain was going crazy. Things that really did not affect me before would just like make me spiral, and I don't know why. And I think it's just that it becomes harder and harder to be present, I feel like as you get older. And I feel like 30 is that point where you get there and you're realizing that like yeah you're actually an adult.
Yeah, before, when I was in my 20s, I could be at brunch at 10. I had to meet somebody else around 1. I had to go meet somebody for dinner at 6, 7.
Wow.
I used to be uptown, midtown, lower. Now it's like,
No,
what do you want me to meet
You
you?
need balance, girl.
I can't do this anymore.
No.
I just cannot have more than things two things a day to do.
I definitely need some me time. I need time for my brain to think. And I feel like you make fun of me a lot for the music I listen to. It just helps quiet my mind.
Maybe I should give it a try.
You should give it a try.
I'll
Like
try
I feel like listen to some like really nice jazz. You're into wine, like drink your little glass of wine.
With my
like,
colleague.
no, well, maybe don't drink wine, but like you have a really nice view. Like just look
I do.
outside, breathe. Like and yoga has also is very big in my like regimen. Like I feel like I wake up in the morning, do my yoga, do my meditating journal.
No, you definitely need something to keep you grounded. And I think I struggle with knowing how to relax.
Yeah.
It's a big thing for me.
Even I know you do yoga now, like but like does it not help?
It does, but yoga is 1 hour a day. But it's just like knowing to stay put, knowing to just relax. My brain is just 50 years from now. I'm thinking of everything. It's just my brain is the issue. I'm just thinking about everything. My
Yeah.
goal, what do I want? Why do I want this? It's just a lot. And I think that sometimes I'm just so tired. That's why I probably am tired all the
You
time.
know, one of my goals for 34, like I think like when I told you I was like spiraling, like not spiraling, like when I was having a hard time going to 34, I think one thing that helped me stay grounded and kind of like be okay with that age is like to tell myself that this year is going to be the year where one, I'm just going to live in the now, like so just focus on today, focus on what's in front of me, like tomorrow's issue is not an issue, like everything at the end ends up working out, so just like focusing on that and like also trusting like God's plan for me and like the universe plan for me, like and just like telling myself that hey, whatever's for me is gonna come. It's so hard though, but I think every morning I wake up and I tell myself I'm just gonna go with the flow. I definitely have stuff that I want for myself, but I'm just gonna take every second as it comes and I'm just gonna do whatever I need to do. If something doesn't go my way, I'm just gonna let go of it. I'm not gonna try to hold on to it. I'm not gonna try to be angry about it. I'm just gonna. And it's hard, but I do think that it brought me a little bit of peace. So,
Yeah. I think there was a period of time where I felt so good because I would wake up, I would meditate every day, and I would work out every day. So I would just go to, I wasn't working out at the time, so 5 days a week, I went and I just did my treadmill for 30 minutes, and then I did yoga, and that's when I started doing yoga for another 45 minutes, and that the yoga would get transition me into journaling, and I did that. My life switched. I don't know if it's because I was so depressed. That's what I needed at the time. I don't know if it's my life is so perfect today. I don't know because I just can't find myself journaling anymore.
yeah, what really?
I'm in London. I'm sitting. It's beautiful. I created a whole scenery. I have my pen. I can't write. I don't know if I don't want to feel. I don't know what happened. I just can't.
Have you tried like doing voice journals?
I should probably
Like
try
voice
that.
notes. Like I think that sometimes I don't feel like writing and I will just write voice notes. But yeah, like I love like I love journaling. I think for me my routine in the morning is wake
No,
up.
you do have a good routine.
Yeah, like wake up, do yoga, meditate and then journal. Like and I feel like it definitely helps me. The way that I see it is like I'm starting my day at a plus. Like I'm charging myself by doing that. So anything that happens and I'm not happy with it, it just deducts a point. So at the end of the day, if a lot of bad things happen, I'm not at like -4, -5. At the worst I'll be is at like 0. And I feel like it's important for me to have my routine. Like sometimes Maddie would call me and I'd be like, I didn't even do yoga yet, girl. Like I have to go.
Swazila. Sabe Zila.
No, I'm probably saying
Sabe
I'm just saying
bonheur.
sometimes, yeah. It's okay. Boundaries, right? Like we're in our 30s, we're setting boundaries. I love you.
Yes,
Though.
I love you too. But yeah, I'm not calling you past. So that's the thing. I wake up, I pick up the phone, I start talking to people.
Yeah.
I should probably not do that.
No. But it's fine. I love you for it though. Okay, another aspect of our 30s where I feel like I saw this video of Issa Rae where she was saying how like when you get to like 34 and 46 you get like that urge to just fuck shit up. And I think like what she really meant by that is like you just feel the need to pivot because whatever you were doing before you're just not happy with it anymore. And I don't know if you experienced that, but I feel like I have, and so many of my friends too. Like I think a lot of them are just like so tired of like the corporate world and they just things that used like work corporate is no longer fulfilling for them. They just want to pursue their passion. They just want to just like let it all go. Like just the other day you were telling me how you just want to just drop everything and move to a different country and like
Dis-moi, parlez plus fort. Mon travail, moi, ouais, podcast live, yo tout dim.
okay, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to
No,
do.
guys, this is my dream come true. Like, no, not dream come true. This is my dream. If I had a big load of money and I could afford it, I'll drop everything and just move far away.
I'm sure your boss feels the same way.
He probably does.
Exactly. That's the thing. I just feel like in my 20s, like, or when I first got into, in my 20s, when I first got into the corporate world, I was just like, I want to be a top performer. I want to put in long hours. But I just don't want to do that anymore.
And that's okay.
I don't want that anymore.
I think that when we go into the corporate world, like the younger kids going into that, you should have some type of plan, because sometimes the job that gives you a lot of money, you need that long hours, and it's okay to do that long hours. But you can say that I'm here for 2-3 years. Take that money they're giving me, invest it, do this, do that, you know. But I do feel like sometimes when you come from your 20s and you start making that money, it's just like you just want to have fun, which is fine. But you just need to have a plan, some type of plan that I don't want to do this forever. I just need to make this money, use it for this, use it for that. Because I do think that there's some people who go into the corporate world, do 2-3 years. Like, for example, go to Goldman Sachs, was giving them a lot of money. Their bonus is pretty big. And they have a vision, they have a plan, and they don't necessarily have to stay there. Because what happens is when you keep living paycheck to paycheck and not really investing and not making plans for yourself, you do need that type of job to keep your lifestyle.
Yeah, I understand that. But I think like what I meant by that is that like the drive that I had in my 20s to just please like be a top performer in corporate, to just like make money and to just like put in like hundreds of hours, you know, I don't have that drive anymore. It's not like, obviously I don't want to go to work and like not work and be a low performer, but it's just like I value like work-life balance a lot more than I did when I was younger. I value, and I think
your
like
body's telling you to slow down.
And I also feel like work is no longer fulfilling for me. Like I just feel like, yeah, I am good at my job, but I don't find pleasure, and I find myself like wanting to pursue something else. And there's also that pressure like when you're in your 30s to just want to build wealth, and I don't think that anybody has become rich being in corporate. Like, I mean, some people do, but it's rare. Like, corporate is really not going to make you rich. Corporate is not going to give you the lifestyle that your parents had and were able to reach when they were in corporate, right? So I think for me, this is all of that that's going on. And I think so many of my friends, shout out to Cora and One Lab and On Purpose, like so many of my friends felt this way, and we have this conversation all the time, like where we're like, we just want to have our own thing, we just want to have our own businesses. And like some of my friends like quit corporate and like are starting their own businesses, and it's going so, and I just see them doing that, and I think it's so inspiring. Like hopefully we can have them come on one of our episodes
to hear about their journey.
And tell us about their journey. But it's like, I think before they got to this point, we would have conversations so much about how we felt like being in corporate was no longer fulfilling, and like how we felt like we wanted to pursue our passion. And I think that seeing them do that is so inspiring.
But they're still putting long hours, but they are now putting long hours towards something they're passionate about. That's the difference, because that's the thing. You have to find something you're passionate about.
Yeah, but how do you think you go about that though?
Finding something I'm passionate about. Like right now we have Oh Mah Gahd. That's our passion for now.
That's true.
You know, again, I don't know where Oh Mah Gahd is going to take us in the future, but for years, sometimes it's this idea that's in your head that you keep thinking about, and you just think that, why am I thinking about this? Why do I want to do this? You know, because one thing is, for me, I had to, when I think about things I want to do, I also think about what could stop me from getting it done. Is that a question? I don't think that I can do it. I think that I can do anything that I put my mind towards, and I think that I can get anything that I want. If I want it very much, I know I can get it. You know, that's one of the reasons why I think that I'm not married today. If marriage was you know, I would have been married, because I've seen that everything I've set my mind to today, I have it, right? But I also think about what could stop Maddie from getting that done. For me, consistency, discipline, and I know that I need to add that more into my life. And because it's like, you can have the perfect idea, but if you don't have discipline, you're not going to create the time. Like Stephanie, Cora, the way that I was hanging out with Stephanie, the way that I was basically just having coffee with Stephanie, we literally joking, gossiping, talking about something totally different. And look at her watch, switch mode, put her Zoom on, and get, you know, it's just that the discipline, the consistency.
She's so inspiring, guys.
No, she is. So it's just that this is very important in getting things done. So if by now you don't have something that you think you want yet, that's fine. But I do think that work towards all the qualities that you need to when that idea comes in, you can really go full force.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I think for me, my advice would typically be just try different things. I think, um, like I said, for the longest time, I thought I was a logical person. I think I went to engineering because I'm like, I'm good at physics, I'm good at math. To me, 1 + 1 = 2 makes sense. Like that's what I'm doing. And I used to not think I'm a creative person, but I found myself to be. I just decided to like explore my creative side, and I feel like this is where my passion is somewhere in that
So
realm.
crazy how she didn't think of herself as a creative person, but you go to Roland's apartment, most of her furnitures are DIY, and
Stop.
basically she's recreating things that are selling at $6,000 on modern, whichever website.
Yeah.
Like you very creativity, you know.
Yeah, but it's like I never saw myself at that. But I think like for me, it's one thing that happened in my 30s. I was determined to just say yes to a lot of things, like try different things. And I think by trying different things, I realized that I'm good at certain things. I'm like, and that I'm very passionate about certain things. I think this is how I found some of my passion. I don't know that I know what my purpose is yet or what my passion is yet, but I started saying yes to just trying things and failing. And I think a lot of times we're just afraid of failing, and that stops us from trying things. And sometimes we just need to try and fail. And the thing is, the worst thing that's going to happen is like, yeah, we fail, but we're going to learn something from it at the end of it. Right. So I think it's important to try to just get yourself a lot of new hobbies, try different things, go to conferences, talk to people. When somebody invites you to do something new that you didn't think you might ever be into, just try it out, and your passion might come out of this. And another thing that I saw, I was listening to the podcast like Diary of a CEO, and he was talking about like if an idea keeps coming to you over and over again, like you might have a lot of business ideas, just like put them on the shelf, but if it keeps coming back to you, that might be something that's worth pursuing.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because this weekend on my birthday, I kept telling my friends, oh, they would see notes on my walls and be like, what is this? I'm like, oh, that's a business idea that I had. And they're like, do you need a notebook to put all your business ideas? But I have so many of them all the time. And some of them I'm just so afraid of pursuing, but I have been doing, the work of not letting fear stop me from trying and just like going for it and like not being afraid of failing, because I am very risk averse and it's very much hard for me to just get myself there.
I'm scared, but I still jump.
Yeah. You definitely do that, and I love that.
And I get scared.
Yeah.
When I took my job, it was, I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And I would just go to the bathroom and just have my panic attacks and then wipe all my tears, go back. I'm 3 years in and
Thriving. Doing
good, but you just have to jump. So like what you were saying about what you heard in that podcast about the idea. So for me, my podcast was on my vision board. I had a show in the past. I did. Some random person I met in a bathroom in Texas was telling me how, oh my God, I could see you do this. I could see you do that. And I'm like, I could, and people have come to me and say, oh, I want to do a podcast with you. And it was just about finding the right person sometimes.
Yeah.
But I just thought that this is something I'll end up doing. But I just know that for me, like I told you, like when I pray, I always ask things need to be aligned.
Yeah.
I don't know for you watching what's your method, if you pray, if you believe in God or whatever else you might believe in. When I'm having my personal conversation with God, I'm always saying that I'm very indecisive. I'm an overthinker. So for me to know it's a go, I have to see it has to align so much that if I don't do it, it's me not paying. It's me who doesn't want to do it. So for me, that's another way to acknowledge and to see that this is what I need to be doing now.
Sometimes the universe does give you signs to let you know that you're on the right track. And sometimes we're so busy and we're not really paying attention to how like things are aligning for us or how the universe is telling us that this is where you should go. And sometimes we're so stuck on how we want things to be that we're unable to see like the better option. It's like, oh no, this is how I imagine my life to be. This is what my idea of success is. And this is this is where I thought I should be, right? And not being able to let go of that and like kind of pivot sometimes will harm you. Like you need to be able to tell yourself like, yeah, like this didn't work. Like it didn't work because this is not what the universe think I should be like, and be like, yeah, like, and sometimes you need to be quick about it. Like, yeah, I keep trying this and it's not working. I need to let go because that's not meant for me, and just move on to the next
And
thing.
not just because people told you that's what you do. Your parent told you,
Yeah.
and this is what you thought forever that you
Yeah.
needed to be doing.
And there is that pressure too of like what, like, again, like just at the beginning I was saying how like being from a Haitian family, how for me, like my parents were like, you need to be a doctor, like a lawyer or whatever.
Funny enough,
You know?
my dad wanted me to go into computer engineering.
See, engineer.
And then because he said, oh, I saw that she'll like to be on the computer. So I don't know where he got that idea, that he thought, because I also had an uncle in Texas who was thriving in that field as well. So he thought that, oh, after when she turns 18, she's just going to, that I've overheard him tell people. He didn't tell me this. I've overheard him speak about me that way to his friends. But when I came here and I decided to go into accounting, he never really said I needed to be. I've never heard my dad say you need to be a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor at some point, you know, obviously because this is society, what you hear, right?
Yeah.
But, and then hearing friends saying how my parents are very dictating of what I need to do. And one time I asked him, I said, oh, Papi, why are you never question my studies or what I wanted to do? He said, oh, because I think I trust your way of doing things. That's what he said. Because he said that I know, but my dad knows I love money. So that's the thing with my dad. Like, my dad knows that his daughter wants to make money.
Yeah.
So you won't find me studying anything that's not gonna give me money.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Because that's one thing he knows about me. It's just that, you know, but I think that people need to sit down with themselves and have a clear understanding what happiness for them means.
I agree.
That's very important. And once you have that definition, when you hear me talking about what makes me happy and what makes you happy, it should not create any confusion with the idea of your happiness.
And yeah, I think like that's fair. And I think like also you have people who, on the other hand, right, will not understand, because their idea of success is something, like when you tell them, like, let's say you wanted to just be a painter and you want to be an artist, right? Like, and you have a passion for it and you're like, yeah, this is the direction I want to go in. Or maybe you want to be an influencer, which something that's not traditional. And somebody might see it and kind of want to discourage you because in their idea, that's not what a definition of success is. So being able to know what you want for yourself, like, and be sure of that and follow that and be sure that, hey, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to pursue. That allows you to just shut out the outside noise and just pursue whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah, and when I mean happiness, it's career-wise, how you want yourself to be, relationship-wise.
Oh, relationship-wise is another one where society just kind of like society will just put so much pressure on you, especially women, I feel.
Yeah.
In terms of like.
And this is one thing I had to sit with myself and have a conversation with myself.
About relationship or your career?
Relationship, marriage, kids, career. So I had to, because when you get into your 30s, wait for it, all these women are going crazy for the man of their, well, not even the man of their dream, because some of them, they're not marrying the man of their dream. What they think is the man of their dream sometimes. Because the shit that I've been hearing people go through, it's, but okay. The women start losing their mind because TikTok, I have to get married, I have to have a kid, this is my biological clock, which is fair. The biological clock,
I think it's fair. A fair argument.
It's a fair argument, especially if you really want kids. I think that's fair. But patience. And a lot of people, I don't even think they want kids. I don't even think they care to be married. It's just a societal pressure. So for me, I had to sit down with myself and was like, Maddie, are you going to be happy if in 15 years you're sitting on your couch and you have a bunch of kids screaming around you and you're not happy with your personal accomplishment with myself? Or would you be happy if you don't have a personal you have your personal accomplishment and you don't have kids?
Yeah.
And guys, I'll be well, I think that at any given age, being happy with who I am,
Yeah.
I will probably be. Wait, should I've had kids? That's a fair question to ask yourself. I don't think it's a bad thing to ask yourself.
Yeah.
But can I be a good parent if I'm not happy with myself?
Yeah.
And I don't think me particularly, I can be a good parent if I'm not happy with myself.
Yeah.
So therefore, I had to train myself as well to know, am I also happy to be a mom in different ways, which means adopting in the future if my biological clock runs out, or now having a surrogate because the whole point of having enough money to do these things, or now also freezing my eggs. And all these things come into, I started thinking about all of these things and making sure what I'm working with, because I think that a happy person can be the greatest partner to their partner and be the greatest parent to their kid. An unhappy person, yes, you'll have kids, yes, you'll be surrounded by love, but can you really give that love? Can you really be present? And can I really be a terrific mom? Because in general, I'm going to make errors. So me knowing that I'm unhappy, like for me, even my friends, if I'm not happy, my friends feels it. And I had to, it's something I'm still working. Like my friend thinks that I like to lash out on my friends. Which is true. I'm working on that. We're going back to therapy.
Yeah.
So, and again, and this is me working on myself. So imagine if I wasn't happy with myself at all. I'll be probably worse, right? So I just had to, and I had to come and I had to be okay with that decision. Working on being happy with yourself. So when this person comes in, because a lot of my friends sometimes they think that I should be dating, I should be doing this, and I should have a partner today. And I'm like, for the time being, that you don't have the partner yet, because I understand the frustration of wanting a partner, the frustration of having everybody booed up and not being booed up, right? I get it. But it's just that, am I ready? Because when that person comes in, if you didn't work on yourself, you're not ready, you're going to get in a relationship, you're going to have to break up and delay that time, delay and having to come back to each other, right?
Well, I think like for me, there's this thing that happens like when you're 30s where I think like I can understand the pressure that a lot of women feels, because again, like society tells you that like in your 30s you should be married, you should be having kids, right? And I think like a lot of things that women do is like already right now in your 30s, if you're not married, I'm sure you've probably experienced that before. Like the men probably, I feel like men, it's different for them because they can get married and have kids at any age. But I think like this thing that happens like when you're in your 30s, like the dating pool kind of sucks, especially if you're a woman. It's either you're dealing with people who have commitment issues, which is probably why they're still single. Either you're dealing with people who already have kids, and if you're not okay with people who have kids, then that's also an issue for you, right? And you don't know if you want that. Or you're dealing with people who, as a woman, men who are broke. And I don't know about you, some people might be okay with that.
You don't know about me.
No, I don't know about like, I'm talking to our audience, like, right? I don't know about you guys, but like, I know personally for me, I would like somebody who's like living at my comfort level minimum, So I think like the dating pool sucks. So it's like the few that are there, you have women who are like in their 30s who want that marriage, who want that partnership. They like go on desperate mode, right? And you go into the situation where you meet somebody, they're not even that great, right? And they like have some characteristics that you want, and then like you just ignore all the red flags because you're so obsessed with being married. And I think a lot of like women in their 30s do that. They go into desperate mode. And my thing to you is like, don't do that. And I feel like my advice would usually be like, as you're in your single life, which is something that I'm practicing now, is just like, as you're being single, date, learn to figure out what you want in a relationship, and don't settle. Like, be okay with being single. be okay with like spending time with yourself, and like whoever is right for you will come, you know, when the time comes. And like I another thing that I'm doing to just be able to not like, you know, succumb to the pressure of being married and just jumping on a man, and like whenever I see a man being like, yeah, that's me, and like ignoring all the red flags or ignoring the fact that they do not have all the qualities that I want, is to also tell myself like be okay with the idea of not having kids. I think I want kids, right? I feel like I want kids, but I feel like if that's not part of God's plan for me, I'm also okay with that, but I'm also open to adoption, right? So I tell myself like, hey, if I get to the point where when I finally meet my person, I'm at an age where I can't have kids. I tell myself that it's something, I teach myself that it's something that I'm going to have to be okay with, right? Because I don't want to rush into something. Like I've waited like 30 something years to meet the person of my life. Like why would I just like throw that all away to just be with somebody that's going to treat me like shit? Like it doesn't make any sense.
Every time I think about any tears that anytime I cried about a guy that it didn't work out in my 20s, nowadays I'm like, why did you even cry? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm so happy that any relationship I've had in my 20s worked out. I'm delivereuse, bad bravo.
You mean like they didn't work out?
It didn't work out. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I feel like for me, one thing, yeah, go ahead.
Because I you know, you had time to be like, oh wait, I really wanted this to work. I really, why not?
Yeah.
But now I'm looking about the life I'm living today. Like, I got to travel the world and more things that I want for myself.
Yeah.
These relationships were never going to work.
And it's good that you're grateful for them. I think like any past relationship that I've had, I'm grateful for, and I've been able to learn something about myself and about the way I want to be treated in a relationship and the way I want to be loved. And I think like when I go into the dating world in my 30s, I'm able to filter through guys like quicker. Like, I mean, a guy may approach me. I feel like I get approached by guys a lot. Like, so I think like I'm able to tell myself like, yeah, this is not going to work out because there are a lot of qualities that I want in my partner that you don't have. Granted, you cannot be too like, like, do they check each boxes? But it's just like there are certain ways that like a man will make you feel, and you know, like you've been in a relationship, you've known like how your past relationship has made you feel, like whether or not you weren't happy about certain things that a man did. And I think very early on in the stages of dating, you'll realize, I know you don't date much, but I think like very early on in the stages of dating, you'll realize that like things that a man is doing or not doing that either make you happy or make you unhappy. And I think like being in your 30s, like knowing yourself, knowing what you want, and having the past experience of dating and like learning from your past dating experience, you're able to take that into the dating world in your 30s and filter through these guys a lot quicker. Another thing that I think like going into my dating experience in my 30s is also like realizing that like looks matter, but they don't matter as much as when you were in your 20s. I still want a cute guy, but I think like for me, a thing that I value a lot more is compatibility, where it's like, are we compatible? Are you going to contribute in my life in a way that I need to? Are you going to be a good father to my children? Like, do you have these qualities of a man that I need, rather than like, oh, is this person wearing the latest, I don't know, designer clothing, or are they stylish? I feel like these are things that are superficial and that you can definitely like fix, right? I definitely feel like I want you to have a certain income. I want you to have a certain level of stability. I want you to have a great level of communication. There are certain things that I feel like are important to me that I'm looking for in the early stages of dating, and I'm trying to identify when I'm dating a person, versus like before when you're in your 20s, it was very like, oh, you look cute. Oh my God, he's popular. Like those don't matter anymore in your 30s. And I feel like, yeah, but I think overall, ladies, like, let's not be desperate. Like, enjoy being single. Like, I think your 30s is also like a great time to be single and enjoy life. You have money, you travel, you know, you get to like live your life to the fullest. So all this to say, ladies, I know we're seeing our friends get married. I know you're getting pressure from family about like talking about, why aren't you married yet? Why don't you have kids? I know you're being bridesmaids at the wedding and you're like, oh, why isn't this happening to me? It will come. Just be patient. Just enjoy being in your 30s, being single, being a baddie. All of this will come in due time. Like, I promise.
No, that's one thing I'm always making this joke with my cousin. I'm saying that how there was a point of time we were rushing. Everybody's getting accepted to college. It's like, when am I getting accepted to college? Yes. Oh, everybody's traveling. Why am I not traveling?
Yeah.
People are graduating. Why am I not graduating yet? Getting engaged. Why am I not getting engaged? Buying a house. We always, there's a competition, rushing to do this and rushing to do that. And that's one thing I don't see people rushing to do is dying, and they exercise patience. No, but honestly,
you saying
that? No, because I've had friends who pass away. I'm not in a rush for that. I'm like, there's so much, but I'm literally saying when my day comes, that's what, So I think that for me, I study exercising patience throughout every single aspect of my life, because I've noticed how I had to wait for my career. I had to wait for certain things, and when it happened,
it was probably magical.
It was amazing. So I think the bigger the wait, the bigger the blessing.
The bigger the reward. Yeah, I agree.
Because again, whatever you're trying, when you're trying so hard, it doesn't work out. There's something that's telling you no, and you're just not listening to it because you're just so stuck into what you want. But is it time for it yet?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now to wrap up, I think I have a few questions. So, what are some things that you know now in your 30s that you wish that you knew in your 20s?
Your environment matters. This is I think your environment matter, your friend group matter. It's very important to surround yourself with great friends. It's not a question of being friends with the most popular. You just need to be seen with a group of friends. Like this girl, she's part of this group. That's not what's important. It's okay to have friends, but you need the right friends.
I agree.
So I think that's very important.
I definitely think like having the right friends is important, because I think it just definitely shapes how your life is going to turn out. I think for me, it's things that I wish I personally knew when I was younger is like that I needed to be more selfish. I think I spent a lot of my time like pouring into other people, taking care of other people, putting other people's needs before me, because I just wanted to be liked so much. Like, don't be so worried about being liked. Like, focus on yourself, be selfish, do things for you. I would also say like travel more, take more risks, because that's the time to do it. Like that's the time for you to just make mistakes, because it's like you can rebuild in your 30s like if it doesn't work out. So just take risk, do a lot of traveling, because you don't want to get to a point, because a lot of us are getting married in our 30s. You don't want to get to a point where if you do end up being one of those people who are married by 30, that you're like regretting that you didn't explore all of that when you were like young or when you were in your 30s. Yeah.
There's some people are waiting for the right one to travel, like me. I went to Greece by myself, I went to Turkey by myself, and I've enjoyed it like everything. And I've learned so much. I'm sure going away single, because I always say like not that I don't want to travel with my man. There's so much stuff that I need to be doing with and for my man while I'm on a trip.
I think like we put so much importance on our relationship in our youth. Like we don't realize that like we don't need to be doing all that. I don't think you should be. I think that's one advice I'd probably give my kids. Like, don't focus so much on relationships in your 20s. Worry about it like when you're older.
That's very important.
Because kids do get so obsessed, and you just make it your entire life. I was one of those girls that made my relationship my entire life and prioritized it so much. Like. I felt like it was such an important factor in my life. Like, you need to take it in the back.
Because this was something that was so restricted to us at a younger age. So we thought that once we become independent, we on it à l'âge majeur, this is what, and I think that's fine. But this is one thing that we also said we're going to do better. It's letting our kids understand it. It's okay for a guy to like me, so they're not thinking that this really needs to take over their life.
So that's definitely something I think like I wish I knew in my 20s. And I think the last thing I think I wish I knew in my 20s was that like most people are faking it. most people are faking it. It's like you go into like the corporate world and you think, hey, like this person just has their shit together. They probably don't. They probably don't know what they're doing, just like you don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your favorite thing about being in your 30s?
Childless.
Childless?
Childless.
Not
having, childless. Well, I'm not single anymore, but not being married.
Okay.
Not having one who needs things from me. It's honestly, making enough money to do what I want.
I expected that heavily,
That's very important.
I do think that when you're in your 30s, you reach that financial stability where you have enough money to just buy everything you wanted for yourself, travel how you wanted for yourself, give yourself everything you dreamed of, and you're not relying on your parent to do it, whereas in your 20s, sometimes you're still relying on your parents to help you if they can. You know,
no, I'm really happy.
You're fortunate enough for that.
No, I'm really happy about that because I think that living alone before I got married, that was very important. I didn't want to just leave my grandma's house and go into a house with a man. So I really, you needed to know what you're capable of doing for yourself. That was very important. So I love that part about being in my 30s. Okay. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely said, like I said, the money, like having enough money to just like that financial stability I have. And I think another one for me is the fact that I've worked so much on myself, that I love myself so much that I just don't give a fuck. I really don't care. Like, I think like for me, I'm just about me doing what I want. Like, I have like for so long being like a child of an immigrant, like, you know, from a Haitian parent, like I've felt so much like the guilt of wanting to do things for myself. Like, where I would be like, oh, okay, I can't do this because my parents would be disappointed because I have to do this for my family. I have to do this for my friends. Like, now I don't give a fuck. Like, my mom would be mad that I'm not doing something the way she wants me to do it. I'm just like, okay, be mad. I'm an adult. You're not paying my bills. Like, and that having that like independence and having that ability to just be like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just gonna do what I need for myself is something that I love about being in my 30s.
Yeah. I've told my dad this. Sometimes I'm like, wait. Yesterday was the first, right? Who just paid my rent bill?
Yeah.
Me, right?
Yeah, there's just that liberation that comes with like being like you're truly an adult. Exactly. It's like you're an adult, like nobody can tell you what to do. And I think a lot of us, like growing up Haitian, we do have that, like our parents will guilt us into like doing what they want. But I think that like in my 30s, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm an adult. I pay my own bills. I will do what I want. I will respect you as an adult, but ultimately whatever I decide to do is my choice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this was an amazing conversation.
This was a great conversation. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Please let us know what your favorite things about being in your 30s are and what some of, like, what you wish you knew in your 30s. We'd love to hear about them. Like, let us know in the comments.
And we can still figure it out too.
Yeah, like, and give us some tips. Like, if you're older and maybe you're in your 40s and you're listening to us, like, thank you for doing so. Yeah. But, like, let us know. Give us some tips of, like, you know, things you wish you knew in your 30s when you were in your 30s, so we know how to, like, get ahead of it.
I'll end on this note because one thing I think I've told you is that in our 30s, I feel like each year is like a decade because hearing about what you're probably struggling now in your at 34 is not where I'm at yet, or somebody might be 32 or 33 or experiencing different things that I'm not. So I do think that you really need to stay focused on where your mental is at, because sometimes hearing other people struggle might think that, should I be worried about this? Is this a problem? Why am I not worried about this? Like, stay focused on where your mindset is at right at that moment. Still be able to be there for your friend of, you know, experiencing that, but don't let it impact your way of thinking and changing your way of doing certain things. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and this was the
Oh My God podcast.
Ciao.